Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon Altaf. Okay, I'm going to give this a little early start because I have a little bit, few things to say, and I think it probably worth me starting a little earlier so I can give Rabbi Kefa a bit more time. To that, for acknowledging that you can hear me. That is great. I've kick-started my recording. Kefa, you may want to kick-start your recording just in case if we have a problem at one end. We have a backup at the other end. Now, several things have happened last week. Between last week and this week, several things have happened. And there's a lot of things happening in the other side of the world that you probably will never ever know unless somebody like me who gets that kind of information will be able to guide you. So let me give you some historical information first, which I think is absolutely imperative of where we are right now and what's happening in the world. Well, first of all, on the Western Front, you know that Forbes magazine wrote that some hackers have taken data from a law firm in, I believe it's in New York, and they claim that they have dirty laundry on our president and other people, and that they're going to put that out unless they're paid, I don't know, something like $42 million in Bitcoin currency. So while that is going on in the background, you have the state or the states looking to vaccinate everybody. Of course, there is a big thing about Gilead. Now, I can tell you a lot about Gilead. Gilead shares skyrocketed recently. Rabbi Kefa will know about that. Some people have profited there. So Gilead, has produced this drug called, at least this medicine called Remdesivir, and that is being touted as the miracle cure. And apparently in Pakistan as well, the pharmaceuticals over there have been given license to produce this. Now, there's very little information on this, and I did, follow it up a little bit. That basically Remdesivir is at least in Pakistan, I'm not sure about American side, at least in Pakistan it will be in the form of an injection, and they basically were talking about the trials that were conducted, and what they did is they took, say, 53 people, and they were in terminal, last stage. So they gave them, the Remdesivir drug as a compassionate drug because, they don't know the full effects. It's not been properly tested, but the FDA has rubber stamped it because, of course, the president said, rubber stamp it. If it can help, it can help. That kind of thing. So Dr. Han, as you see in your screens, when they come online in their daily or weekly updates, Dr. Han is there, Dr. Fauci is there, Dr. Birx is there, all these doctors are there alongside the president. I mean, I've just even memorized their name, watching them every day. So probably most of you have memorized their names. So my point is this, that this drug, according to Dr. Fauci, and although, I won't talk about the eastern side yet, but according to Dr. Fauci, that this drug, he kind of corrected the people to say that this was not something to give at the early stages of the disease. It was only to be given at the later stages of the disease, and that's where it has more effectiveness. We, of course, still don't know the do's and don'ts. Is it got side effects? Is it got not side effects? We don't know nothing about that. I guess that will come out later. That's why I said it was given as a compassionate ground to patients that could have died. Now, I can say a lot over here, but I don't want to, because this message is going to be aired in public, and it's not good to say things publicly that could incriminate people. So, however, what's out there in public, I can tell you what's out there in public, but I will not tell you what's happening within. So what's out there in public is basically that a lot of people are raising their fingers or their voices against Dr. Fauci, and they are saying that Dr. Fauci was involved in, let's just put it, inappropriate, I don't know if behavior is the right word, but maybe inappropriate forms of behavior, and I don't mean domestic abuse, or I don't mean sexual type. I mean like inappropriate behavior in the sense of that, there were drugs that were passed, or HIV cases, that were dealt with, and this doctor was involved in those, and some fingers were raised, and some doctors were fired, and some doctors were withheld from passing out information to the public. And maybe those doctors today are going online and passing the information. Yeah, thanks for that, Rabbi Kefa. Shabby professional behavior. Yeah, I guess, bad professional behavior is the right word I'm trying to look for. But again, I don't want to say too much other than, go do your own research, check up on these things. There's plenty of videos out there about Dr. Fauci's involvement with the Wuhan lab and other things that are going on, and HIV and Ebola, and because these guys have been in this research field for a long time, forever. So maybe that's something if that's something you aspire to and want to know about, definitely go out and check it out. However, don't spend your entire life on following these guys, because at the end of the day you get nowhere with it. It's like, unless you're directly involved, unless you work for Mr. Fauci, don't worry about it so much. Don't put your life on it. That's what I'm basically saying. Now, I will only say this, and I don't care what other people say or don't say. I will only say this, that if ever you get the coronavirus, and Baruch Hashem Yahweh that our families are safe, I would highly recommend for you, and I don't care if Mr. Trump comes to my door and says to me, Rabbi Simon, you shouldn't tell me that, but because Mr. Trump will say to me to tell you that, is that use chloroquine. Use hydroxychloroquine. That is a good medicine, and it will heal you at very early stages and even at late stages. And that's exactly what I did. We don't get hydroxychloroquine in England in the same name, because it comes in different names. So what I did, listen to this now. This is a true testimony, by the way, of UK. I have a student in the UK, and I'm not very proud of him, to be honest. He is very lax. He owes me a lot of money, never paid up on time. It's been 7 years now. Money is coming in piecemeal. Sometimes it's not there, sometimes it's there. He's all sorts of excuses not to pay, and so on and so forth. Anyway, I don't really have too much contact with this particular student, so I'm not really proud to even mention his name. I helped him at times when he was totally out. Nobody would lend him a penny, and I helped him at times to acquire his British nationality, which at the time to make British passports was expensive. It's about $3,000 then. And then the British government was going to change it the following year to double the price to $6,000, and so on and so forth. And it changes every year. So, at the time I helped him and his family to acquire their passports. He should have been thankful, but of course that's not the case. So you will meet people like that in your life, but doesn't mean that you keep relations with such people. And such students, I don't even waste my time with them. But it just happens to be so that he's been missing payments with me for more than 3 months now. And I just sent a little note to his way. I said, just as a Kohen can bless, the Kohen can also send a curse your way as well. Maybe you should receive the curse next. And I said that without doing anything. And 2 weeks later, or a week later, he wrote to me saying that my wife has got the coronavirus. So now make of it whatever you want to at that point. And yes, the Kohen can send a curse as well. There's no doubt about that. So what I did, of course, I'm not here to curse people down and wreck their lives. Definitely don't want to say that. But what I did is he called me a couple of days ago, and I spoke to him, and I said, put me in touch with your wife. By the way, his wife is a head nurse. She's not just anybody. She's a nurse she works in a nursing center. And of course, she told me that she acquired the disease from one of the nurses, one of the staff. So I asked this man, I said, what's your preparation? What's your level of preparation? And other than the fact that he had some hand sanitizer in the home, his preparation is basically zero. And so I was very critical of him, and I told him, I said, you are an absolute disgrace. you're a disgraceful husband, you're a disgraceful student. I said, you don't keep in touch. And I said, look at your wife, she should never have this disease, and because of your stupidity and your improper behavior, she has this disease today. So I said, now you have to manage this. And so I explained to him how he needs to manage it. This guy has nothing. The doctors gave him nothing. The doctors in UK said, go home, take rest, take paracetamol. Because that's what the doctors do over there. They're absolutely pathetic. UK doctors, they're total pathetic. And they know it and I know it. And everybody in the UK knows that too. Every British person knows that they're pathetic. They won't give you good antibiotics because they're told by the government to save money. So they'll say to you, go home, take a rest, don't do nothing, take liquids, in things like this. So they're told to the same thing. Anyhow, he told me that the first week of her disease was terrible. She's going through high fever, headaches and stuff like that, and now she's a little bit better. So I explained to him what he needs to do urgently, what he needs to get from the internet, because he's not going to find it locally, and he needs to put it into action, because I really gave him a rundown that you're a disgraceful man and a disgraceful husband, period. I would definitely not want to be in that person's shoes whose husband he is. Put it this way, this is blunt, put it truthfully. This is as truthful as I can get. So, because that woman, right, he married, she comes from a rich background, and what would her family think of their daughter, of their sister being treated in such a way by this particular man? I don't know what to say. It's just disgraceful, total disgraceful. So, having said that, not because she comes from a rich background, but because he eloped with her. He married her without the family's permission, and so it's his charge to look after her. In other words, if you're going to run away with a woman to marry her, it is your responsibility to make sure that woman's taken care of and not, being mistreated the way they are at this point. But anyhow, that's just a little by the by. So having said that, I will highly, highly, highly recommend that you get Artemisia annua. That is the actual compound, that is the herb, or that is the plant that chloroquine is made from. You're not going to find chloroquine in your stores. None of you are going to find it. I'll tell you that right now. Because they've hoarded all these drugs and they're not giving it to people. But you can get the plant-based medicine, and I can write it over here and I can spell it out. Artemisia annua. I could just put it off the top of my head. Artemisia, Artemisia annua, Annua. Now remember, there are different types of Artemisias out there. Don't just get anything, because they're not the same. Don't do like that Florida couple did. They got one of the chloroquines for the fish tank and started drinking that and one killed themselves. Don't do that. If you're not sure, ask, because I'll be able to guide you properly. It must be Artemisia annua and not another variety, because that's not the same thing, and it won't do the same actions either. So ask me before you do anything, and get it, have it stored in your home. I have this, Artemisia annua has been in my home forever. I had it for nearly 5 years. It's good as new, and I tell you, I just ordered some more the other day, and it is absolutely miracle herb. It will treat coronavirus, it will treat normal flu, it will treat everything. So don't think that it won't treat the normal flu. It can even treat the normal flu, but they won't tell you that. Well, they have no interest to tell you. Their interest is to make money. Why should they tell you that? If you want to go try silver water, they'll tell you, they'll be finding companies that are trying to sell silver water, because there's no interest for them to make money out of it. Anything that the big pharma can make money in, they will do that. So silver water, I have not personally tested it. I will be very honest with you. I have not tested it in coronavirus, because I don't have a corona patient to test it on. So, other than this one in England. But I have not tested it, but I can't even get it to England because, of course, my circumstances with this family, as you know, are very strained, and I'm not going to go out of my way to get them silver water, because I've already given them guidance what they need to do, and if they follow it, then that woman's life will be perfectly fine, and she will be safe in the future as well if they follow my instructions. Now, the thing is that silver water, what I can tell you is that silver water has been known to cure 600 known diseases. So all I can say to you in honesty is have it in the home. You can make it yourself, or you can buy it from Amazon or eBay, but make sure that you know, whatever disease you're trying it on, make sure you test it. I can tell you this much, that once upon a time, about, maybe this is going back 8 or 10 years, maybe slightly longer, that my daughter had a hypothyroid issue. She basically had a little lump in the throat, and the doctors in England, pathetic that they are, I'll tell you that, I'll tell it in front of their face as well, that they're pathetic, and the doctors over there, they were going to do an operation on her, and so I went to my daughter. She was living with her mother at the time, and she told me that she was going to have an operation in about 2 weeks. So I told her, I said, don't do the operation. I will give you something to drink, and you just need to drink it. That's all. Just drink it. Say nothing to the doctor, and just go to the doctor when your test comes to go and test for your operation, and you'll not have to go through this bullshit, basically. So I gave her enough of the silver water. She drank it for 2 weeks every day. I told her to drink, a spoon in the morning, afternoon, and evening, and she drank it, and her thyroid lump totally disappeared. She went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you have no need for an operation. What did you do? She said, well, no, nothing really. Just been waiting for the operation. Because I'd already told her that. Don't tell the doctor anything, because they don't need to know. It's none of their business. So she did not receive an operation. So this is a live case that I actually did. So I can tell you that it works in many things. Now, of course, I've treated other things with it. Little things that you might call little, like a fever, maybe, what's the other things that I treated with silver water? Fever, flu, things like that. Those things, it took care of them. Okay, basically it took care of them, because I can only tell you what I've tested, and what I treated. I can't make up things that I haven't tested. So I have never tested it on cancers and other things, so I don't know the result of those, those other illnesses. If any of you have evidence, or at least have treated a family member or somebody with that, then by all means, let me know. I'll be happy to record it, so that next time somebody asks me, then I'll be able to tell them that yes, such and such person tried it, it worked on such and such disease, and we can happy to report that yes, it has a high chances of working in such and such disease. That's basically where I come from. But for me, as a physician, I'm a physician. I've got a proper qualifications as a Chinese physician. I studied in London, and Maida well, for those of you who want to know. And I got a diploma and everything in it. So I am a physician, and I can tell you from a physician point of view what has worked for me and what hasn't worked. So that's basically that. Now, coming back to a little bit lesson of history, there was once upon a time an empire called the Ottoman Empire, and in our language it's not called the same, it's called different. In the I guess in the Turkic language, and because our languages are all related, the Hebrew, Arabic, Turkic language, Pakistani language, which is called the Urdu, they are all related sister languages. So in that language, the term is not Ottoman, it's Osmania Empire. Osmania Empire. So anyway, there's a drama that's been made, that's been now basically shown in Pakistan and possibly some other nations, Muslim nations of the world. And this drama is called, let me check the name on it, Ertugrul. It's called Ertugrul, and this drama, Ertugrul, is really an enactment of a treaty that was made over 100 years ago, or nearly 100 years ago, I should say. And the idea behind this was the British government. I wrote about this treaty a long time ago in one of my books, and you probably don't even remember it because I use a different name for it. So this treaty was done in Lausanne. Lausanne is one of the capitals, or one of the cities in Europe. So it was done in Lausanne, I believe Switzerland or one of those countries, and there it was basically decided that the Ottoman Empire had run its course, it was going to come to an end around about, let's just say, 1928, 29, somewhere around there, maybe a bit earlier. And so they basically put an end to the Ottoman Empire. There were a certain, and I can tell you by, let me just, because this place, I mean, you guys who live in Europe, it's in Switzerland, the Lausanne city, you will know this. And the treaty was such that the treaties basically said the following, or at least some of the following. It said the Ottoman Empire was going to be put to rest. It said that they were not supposed to drill for oil for 100 years. Their leaders were killed after that, and the empire was disbanded. And at the time, just before the empire disbanded, they owned Mecca. They were the ones who were custodian of the Arab holy places. And so after the holy places were taken from them, they were handed over to the Arabs. The House of Saud came into power. Now Turkey has a lot of oil, from what I understand, in the waters that they control, like the Bosphorus. So Turkey is now basically there. Now what's so interesting thing about this so-called Ertugrul drama is this. And I wrote about this in the book, Islam. The book was called the World War III series. I wrote in there that how the Ottoman Empire will start to revive, and will be, they will be revived, and it's given in the form of a beast. In the book of Revelation, it speaks about the beast being revived, second beast. So, a lot of that you can find in the World War III series, Unmasking the End Times Beast. A lot of that is in there. And basically what that means is that in 3 years' time, 2023 approximate, this treaty ends. This treaty will no longer be in effect that they can't drill for oil. So Turkey has already plans to drill for oil. They have plans to put a toll on the Bosphorus waters, and they have a plan to build a canal, and this canal will basically cut through Turkey in half. And there's a little canal that runs through Turkey. It will cut it through half, and it will be much more important than the Suez Canal even. It will be much more important for trade, because ships can just cut across and come into Europe, and it'll be like a shortcut. So that is, by the way, in the pipeline. And this drama has been banned in India. It's been criticized in the Arab world. And of course, Europeans are talking about it, the leadership, because they know what's coming as well. And you know the reasons why. So they didn't like it either. So that's what's going on with Ertugrul. You can look it up on the internet if you want to see the history about it. But we are fast going towards that 2023 model. Now, the other thing that's brewing up, in India, Pakistan, and China, as you know, that China is a sworn enemy of the Indians and vice versa, is that China has recently signed a deal with Pakistan to build a dam called the Diamer-Basha Dam, which is in the Gilgit-Baltistan region. It's a mountainous region of Pakistan. Beautiful, beautiful region. They're going to build it over there. And China is investing $42 billion in the project. So India is absolutely against it, because they don't want Pakistan to be prospering and so on and so forth. They don't want their electricity problem to go away, and other things. So India is definitely against it, and China is ready to defend itself, and the rest is history. Because here right now, what we are having is China and India are standing together. China and Pakistan are standing together. And India is a crying child on the right hand side, like crying for, these two have become buddies, and why should they do better than me, etc. So that's going on with India. And on the other hand, the U.S. is right now, technically I say that, is at war with China, because a lot of improprieties had happened with this virus, that the U.S. is pointing fingers to China and other things going on. And this Dr. Fauci is in that involvement, and you can go check it up yourself behind the scenes. But having said that, I think that what's happening is that the Washington Post recently has put a little review on a book called The Kill Chain. And the Kill Chain book describes that in all the war games that the U.S. did with China, they lost in every one of them. China was able to was able to disengage their fleet, was able to block their signals, was able to turn off their electronics, all sorts of things like that. This is why you keep hearing our president talking about our navy, our fleet, our systems are very old, and we need to update them, we need to upgrade them, we need to spend $1 trillion on that. That is basically his whole idea, is that our systems are becoming outdated and we need to update them. What he means by outdated is that the enemy can sabotage the system, can block the electronics, and can turn them off. And so in the Washington Post, that was doing the review of this book, that this person, by the way, this person who wrote the book is somebody from the inside, somebody who's very well connected and is well-known person. So you can go and read up the book, you can buy it from Amazon, and he speaks about these things, that this is where we are right now in the US with all our weapons, and this is where we need to be. So he's kind of laying out a little bit background of where we are, and he's telling people, basically he's telling the establishment that where you need to go, otherwise we'll be left behind. Basically, if we don't do something now, we will be left behind because China will overtake us. I think that's basically the gist of the book. But I can tell you this much, that several years ago, I'd say about 6 years ago, when I was working in London, we had a meeting in London, and the meeting was with I won't name the politician, it was a high-up politician. He came to our office and he did a lunch talk. It's called a lunch talk. And in the lunch talk, he described many things. And one of the things that he described at that time was that China is advancing very fast. And even the UK government at that time was concerned that China was trying to become the next superpower, and they were concerned that there's going to be changes coming ahead. And so the British government, of course, with their allies, were working on different projects. And I believe our company had a hand in that in some legal way, because it was a law firm. They had some legal hand in that to sign off some I guess company deals, buyout of companies and things like that. So anyhow, that was by the by. That was something that we kind of like informed about, and it's not something that I speak about. I'm not supposed to. And there's other things that I will never talk about, but I'll just give you a gist of it, that the British politicians were also raising their eyebrows at the time. And there was a general, there was a colonel that came also, and he also gave some interesting information at the time. So the establishment already knows that, and that China's making inroads, China's becoming very powerful, and if we don't keep up with the technology, that China could, overtake, and things would be different. Now, of course, on the Pakistan and the Chinese front, they've been friends for many, many years. That friendship is never going to change. And there is talk on the bloc that the US might say to Pakistan that you're either with China or with us. Personally, I don't think that can happen. Personally, let me tell you, let me spell it out to you. What can happen over there is that the Kohen was born in Pakistan, so Pakistan will never be in a position of loss, put it this way. Secondly, Pakistan is not going to choose sides and say, oh, okay, I'm going to leave China and be with you, US. They're not going to do that, because Pakistan has vested interest with China, and China has vested interest with Pakistan. And the US has always lied, cheated, deceived, and killed Pakistani people in Pakistan through their so-called and those guys are sent in Pakistan to, I don't know, so all sorts of claims made, but nothing ever turns up to be true. That, remember the Blackwater incident? They were shooting, civilians in the streets in Lahore, and then, the Pakistan police arrested these guys, and then the government in the US sent a military plane to acquire, get those people back. All of those things happen over there. So my point is this. Don't mess with Afghanistan and Pakistan, because if you mess with Afghanistan and Pakistan, you will regret it. Why? Because they'll make your lives very difficult over there. And when Pakistan and Afghanistan sneeze, everybody will get the flu. Let me just be very precise about that. Because the US has been fighting a war in Afghanistan for more than 21 years. They've never won that war. I wrote about that war, that they'll never win. I wrote about it many years ago, that the US can throw all their technology at Afghanistan and they will never win that war. And that is proven to be true, because today the very Taliban that the Allies claim to have defeated, today they control more than half the country. And today the US is cowering down before them and saying, hey guys, yeah, we made some mistakes, and yeah, let's get together and do a peace deal. What does that tell you? That tells you that in spite of all the technology in the world that the US has, it cannot defeat some people, that live in caves, that are used to living in harsh conditions. Even Alexander the Great said that every one of them is like a tiger, is like a lion. He said that if you call me a lion, he wrote a letter to his mother, if you call me a lion, every one of those guys is a lion every 300 yards, and he was only able to keep Afghanistan for 3 years, by the way. Alexander was one of the best fighters of his time. Really impressive fighter, impressive force. He was only able to keep that country for 3 years, and then he lost it. So no one from that date has ever controlled Afghanistan. No one. And I can tell you that Afghanistan has a tribes of Israel there. These people that you see, they are Afghans. They're not Afghans per se. A lot of those guys are from the 10 tribes. They know that too. A lot of the tribe of Benjamin is there as well in Afghanistan today, and in the north of Pakistan. So anyway, this is all politics, it don't really affect me or you, generally speaking, but it's just something to know that how things are shaping up in the world. And as a result of coronavirus, I don't know what to say, because a lot of people are saying that this is a biological weapon and is done to reduce population. I don't really want to go there and make such claims, because I don't have information that says that. But if that is what you believe, that's fine. You have a right to your view. I respect that, and I will leave it at that. So moving forward, I'm going to say that let's see. In 1962, there was an Italian artist by the name of Walter Molino. He wrote in an Italian magazine that from 2020 to 2022, people will travel in cubes. And this was in a paper or magazine called Domenica del Corriere, which is no longer published. And he actually had pictures in there of people traveling in small cubes with wheels on them. And by the way, that wasn't a prediction or a prophecy or anything. He just happened to write it for whatever reason. Maybe he saw a vision, who knows? I don't know what he saw. He put that in there, but it looks like that we're at that point where, social distancing and keep your distance apart and all that. So, beware that, cubes might be on the way next. I wouldn't be surprised. But having said that, there's another thing I wanted to say regards the family at Forever Israel. Forever Israel family, I want to tell you that, Rabbi Kefa, Russia. Russia is definitely, there's a lot of Russia things, spoken about in the US. Russia basically is a friend of China, and Russia is also a friend of Pakistan as well, by the way. And Pakistani forces, the Pakistan army, for the first time a few years back, they were actually training with Russian forces. Surprise, surprise. So, those countries are close together as a bloc. Pakistan, Russia, the CIS nations. Then you have China, of course, and they are like a bloc. And they are friends to each other. Then you have India, and India has their own policies to do their own thing. And of course, India's government, and I won't say the people, because Indian people are good people, but the Indian government isn't exactly, let's put it this way, squeaky clean. So Indian government has agenda, and their agendas will be met with they will be met with how shall we put it? They will be met with resistance, and they will not be allowed to succeed. Let's just put it this way. So, and that will be from Afghanistan, Pakistan, China. All those three countries will oppose India and put them to rest. And in this country, religion may not be as strong a part of the nation, but in those countries, my goodness, I mean, Pakistan and Afghanistan, religion is a big part of their daily living. So, they use religion to arouse everything. So that's the other thing going on over there. Now, coming back to the family of Forever Israel, Abrahamic-Faith, is this, that we have people here that, of course, in your life, you got to get married, you got to, have children, you got to do the things that you do, you get circumcised, boys get circumcised, and you do bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, whatever, and also there is the thing of concern that between rabbis of courtship. Now, of course, I don't pry into people's business. I don't say who you can court and who you can't court, but I will say this, that when you are going to look for a husband or stroke wife, and you find yourself a wife, or prospect of a wife, or prospect of a husband, I will highly encourage you to court that person for at least 6 months. And let me revisit that I did point out a few years ago that courtship should last at least a year. The reason why I said that, because a few years ago we had incidences here where a certain person, not to be named, was married, and they're like, Rabbi, marry me today, and in spite of me saying that you're not yet ready, they wanted to get a marriage done, a ketubah, basically, Torah marriage. And so when they did the Torah marriage, 3 weeks later they wanted a divorce. So I'm not going to go through that again. I've already specified this, Rabbi Kefa probably as well, that your courtship should be at least 6 months to a year. I'm not prepared to marry somebody who hates me, put it this way. Because, you got somebody coming from the outside and they say, oh, I don't like Rabbi Simon. Well, if you don't like Rabbi Simon, do you think Rabbi Simon's going to marry you? Of course not. So I'm not going to conduct that marriage. Secondly, I would highly advise for you to number one, do your courtship, and make sure that the love that you're desiring is the right love. Don't just fall blindly with anybody in bed and think that is the love you want. The reason why I say that is several years ago I spoke with a Christian woman. The Christian woman said, and she told me this, and she said, I said to myself that the man who comes and sits in the middle of my room will be my husband. And so she goes, one day this man came to me from church, and he sat in the middle of my room. He came to my house, he sat in the middle of the room, and I said, this is my husband. And she goes, I married this man. This man then scammed me for $50,000. He ran away with my money, and I got divorced, and she's never been the same since. So I said to the lady, this was just a casual conversation, nothing more than that. So I said to the lady, when you ask for the husband, of course you said that if he sits in the middle of the room, that will be the man. That's what you said in your prayer. But I said, why didn't you ask for an honest husband? Why didn't you say that the man that God will send me will be honest, he'll be genuine, he'll be compassionate? She didn't say none of those things. And that's a typical Christian mumbo-jumbo prayer, give me a husband. So I will highly encourage you not to do that mumbo-jumbo thing that Christians do, is that you need to ask, if you're going to script a husband that is merciful, that is just, and loving. So if you're going to tell me your husband came to you and said to you, hey, now you can't do this, well, I'm going to tell you that husband is not merciful. And therefore you got to ask the question, is this the right marriage? And I would highly encourage, we have several rabbis here that are mature, that are responsible, that have been around for many years. We have Rabbi Zechariah, I know he's been around many years, mature man, wise guy. Rabbi Hananiah, a wise man. We have Rabbi Michael, we have Rabbi Kefa, and myself. So I'll put myself out of the equation. I'll put Rabbi Kefa out of the equation as well. So we could just step aside. And we have Rabbi Zechariah, Rabbi Michael, Rabbi Hananiah. These are great rabbis, they are good rabbis. If you have issues, like if you want to marry somebody, I would highly encourage you to do a little session, maybe even a call, a telephone call, to one of these rabbis. You can pop them an email, and their email address are usually listed, and if not, we can give them to you. And you can write to those rabbis and you can speak to them. I think it's best to speak to them, not to write to them. Speak to them on their telephone number and have maybe a 1-hour consultation session where you consult and tell them the situations that you have, and then they can guide you as to how best to approach a marriage, in which you think that you are poised, like a cruise missile. You're poised to strike, and you're poised to get married in 6 months or so. And then I think it's a good idea to get some consultation with a rabbi that is married. Of course, sorry, I didn't mention Rabbi Benaiah, wise man as well. Rabbi Benaiah his number is always listed. He's always giving his number out to students. So Rabbi Benaiah, you can speak with him. And if I haven't mentioned any rabbis, apologize, because I'm not, listing out all of your names, only giving out a few names just so that people know that we have rabbis here that can assist you with the, personal points of view, because, marriage is a serious business. Let's be honest about it. If you get that wrong, you're going to be beating yourself about it. So, make the right choice. When you script a marriage, make sure you absolutely put down that you want a husband that is compassionate. If you don't put a compassionate husband down, then the odd things can happen. Like I explained to you with that Christian woman, you don't want to do that same thing. So look for a compassionate husband, not for a dictator, not for a Hitler or a Mussolini. You don't want a Hitler, you don't want a Mussolini. You want somebody who's compassionate, somebody who can understand because he may be a foreign man, he may be a local man, and you want somebody to understand your culture. You want them to understand the nuances of your culture. You want them to be compassionate. One of the people wrote in, somebody who listens out there, I don't know who the hell they are, they claim to be listening to our lectures, and people make all sorts of stupid claims like they're in Torah. They don't even know 10% of what Torah is really. So they make claims, and this guy said, how can Rabbi Kefa teach Torah when he allows his wife to eat shellfish? So, this was this guy's reaction, that Rabbi Kefa, why does he allow his wife to eat shellfish? So my answer to this was very simple, that because Rabbi Kefa is compassionate. Rabbi Kefa is not going to enforce a law on his wife that his wife has entire life, 35 plus years of her life, 40 years of her life, or whatever his wife's age is, she has, been eating shellfish as a child. And what you're going to tell me that, I have to, if he is a husband, he has to say to her, hey, honey, stop. From today, you're not going to eat shellfish, okay? So you think that marriage is going to last? You think that's compassionate? What a stupid, stupid way to think. So, therefore, we do not think like that, we do not act like that, and we definitely do not behave like that. So, somebody like that has to be given opportunity, chance, plenty of room for them to understand how how Bnei Israel, a child of Israel, son of Israel, lives, so they can slowly look and accommodate. Now let me tell you something of real interest. This will be a slap to the face of those people that claim to know Torah. King Solomon was married to more than 1,000 women, and he never converted any of his wives. Okay? Now you heard that from Rabbi Simon, and I'd like you to prove to me that King Solomon went around converting his wives. If they came from Hinduism, they stayed a Hindu. If they came from Islam, didn't exist back then, by the way. And if Islam had existed, they would have remained a Muslim. And if it was a Buddhist, she remained a Buddhist. And if she didn't believe in God, she didn't believe in God. But in those days, everybody believed in something. So whatever belief system they had, King Solomon definitely wasn't going around converting his wives. What does that tell you? Now think about it. What does that tell you? That tells you compassion. Compassion is the key. Exactly what Yeshua said. What did Jesus of Nazareth say? Mercy, justice and mercy. He said the highest principles of Torah are justice and mercy. He didn't go around saying the highest principles of Torah is don't wear jewelry and don't do this and don't do that. Rabbi Zachariah, absolutely correct. Rabbi Zachariah is saying that a lot of marriages have ended with a dogmatic mentality. And not just ended, Rabbi Zachariah. A lot of marriages today are in extreme difficulty and torture because of this dogmatic mentality. And this dogmatic mentality, let me tell you what it exists in. It exists in Christianity, and it exists in some Islamic sects. So you definitely don't want to go there. Rabbi Kefa is saying that my wife is a woman of my dreams, the poster woman of loyalty and love. She can eat all the shellfish she likes. Well, good for her. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. We are not here to put women down and you know, to suppress their feelings. And if they've been brought up like that, then so be it. Because God's not going to judge you for allowing your wife to eat shellfish. That's for sure. So having said that, now let me put it for the study crowd. Study crowd, let me teach you something, because you need to learn something as well. That the ones who think that we should teach our wife and force her, or maybe motivate her to change. Maybe motivate is the right word. Okay, motivate to change. That doesn't work, by the way, and it's coming from a man of experience. I can tell you, and I won't name the rabbi over here, a certain one of our members, one of our great rabbis over here, he did exactly that. He will sit with his wife 7 o'clock in the morning every day, and he will teach her what Torah says and what Torah doesn't say. Guess what happened to his marriage? Take a guess. The word begins with D. So I'll leave you guessing. So having said that, no, we don't go there either. So God is not sending people to hell. Let me be very particular with you. Let me be very blunt. God does not send people to hell. Okay? So stop believing in this BS of hell and heaven. There is no hell, there is no heaven. You make your hell and you make your heaven on this earth. This, by the belief, comes from my forefathers who were also Kohanim. Well, you can keep believing that root source. There is no such. This is bullshit. Sin does not lead to death. Okay? It doesn't. Because sin simply means that not able to hit the mark. That means you do not get your desire, you're miserable, you can't buy that car, you can't get that house, you're going to live a life of misery. That is sin, by the way. And if you hit your desire, if you got your desire, you got your car, you got your nice job, guess what? Happy job, happy life ahead. Nice money, nice family life. So this idea that Christian dogma, not Torah, Christian dogma has put on people is totally, utterly false. It is not true. And should never follow it. Because if you do, you're only your worst enemy. You're going to make your life hard. You're going to make your family's life hard. You don't want to go there. You don't want to make your family's life hard. You don't want your wife to be your worst enemy. You can't do that. So this is a theology. This kind of theology will lead to that. So be mindful of this theology. Stay away from it. Now coming back to the Torah now. The Torah basically says that we have dominion over the earth. Okay, we have dominion over the earth. And I will take you to some passages, and I will, actually, before I take you to the dominion of the earth, let me just tell you that this Parsha, the Parsha today is Behar. Basically, the Parsha to do with the mountain. Behar means the mountain. So, in the mountain. So let's just go to this Parsha. Let me open up the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, and then I can speak from that, and I can give you a little clue of what it says. Let me find the. You're gonna have to give me a minute, because I'm gonna have to find my folder where I keep the Bibles and open it. It is very important to understand the biblical narrative and why the Bible says certain things and what it's trying to teach us. So, coming back to the Abrahamic-Faith, Nazarene Hebraic Study Scriptures, which is to say, it's fantastic the least, because it actually goes to some distance to explain things to you. Now, in the chapter 1, we'll go to chapter 1, we won't go very far, which is Parsha 1 there. And in there it says, Bereshit bara Elohim alif tav hashamayim v'ha'eretz, which basically translated, in the beginning, Elohim powers created the shamayim and the land. Now, I was very insistent that the word powers be put in there, because originally I just put in the beginning Elohim. I said, no, this is not right. It has to be powers in plural. So, What does that mean? Now I will explain to you a little bit of the meaning in a second, in a few minutes. So if you go on to that, it says in verse 26, and Elohim power said, let us make humans in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every crawling thing that crawls on the earth. And then it says, Elohim powers created Adam. Okay, so if that is the case, then here is the deal. The deal is this, that let me take you back to the first passage of the Hebrew Scriptures, our Holy Scriptures, Bereshit bara Elohim. In the beginning, Elohim powers created the Shemaim and the land. What does that mean? It basically, because the Torah has 70 faces, the Torah is telling you that you are in charge of creation. Now you see, the people have already taken it the wrong way, because they think that God created everything and we are done. Actually, we are not done. This might be a surprise to some people, that we are definitely not done. Because if we were done, why would there be the word Elohim there? The word Elohim means powers. Well, guess what? As a human being, you have the kingdom of God within you. So therefore, you have a power of God within you. What is that power used for? Bereshit bara Elohim. You can create. So are you creating? Because you can create a mess, or you can create order. You can create chaos, or you can create order. And you have the dominion. So the dominion meaning, when it speaks in those words, God has given man and woman this charge. With the help of God, you can create whatever life you desire. If you desire a life of luxury, you can create a life of luxury. If you desire a life of misery, you can create a life of misery. I know a lot of people choose misery over luxury. I know that. Because this is where all of men's religions lead to misery, by the way. And you can see this in every culture and in every religion. Wherever religion has imposed restrictions on people, what has it led to? Has it led to freedom of speech? Has it led to new inventions, new creations? No. It's always led to rebellion. It has led to misery. People have lived a miserable life, and they continue to live in that miserable life. But you don't need to be there. Because Bereshit bara Elohim, you have the ability to create a life for yourself, and you have been given dominion over it. And so when it speaks about the earth, that earth is your mind. That earth is your mind that you plow. When it speaks about plowing, it speaks about you. You need to plow that mind. You need to train your mind, because when you train your mind, that's what you will receive. So, you don't need to look at the billionaires out there and say, well, I wish I was born with a golden spoon in my mouth, because you are. All you got to do is exercise it. If you exercise that golden spoon in your mouth, you can be the billionaire you desire. Because nothing says that you can't be a billionaire. Nothing says that you can't be the next lottery winner. Nothing says that you can't have a beautiful home. Nothing says you can't drive the best car in the world. Nothing and no one says that. It's up to you. You might say it. You might say, hey, I have a limitation. I have a plastic wooden leg. That might be a limitation, but it don't stop you from being the billionaire. It don't stop you from driving the best car in the world, because all you need is 1 foot. So, having said that, my point is this, that we, the human beings, have created limitations, but God did not. This is why it was important to put the word powers, not God. Because when you put the word powers, that incorporates the human being as well. Because what powers are we talking about? So everybody out there, man or woman or child, they have born with the innate ability, that power that we call God. Or you may be called Bhagwan or Premeshwar in Indian languages, or you may call something else in another language. Elohim may be in the Hebrew. And Al-Shaddai and Adonai, doesn't matter what title you give it. But that power is innately in every person. Now, the Parsha that we were going to speak about is Behar, right? And let me just go there a second. Parsha's Behar. Let me just find that, if I can track it down. Okay, let's see. Metzora, Azriya, Behar Lev. Here we are, Parsha 32. And this is in the book of Leviticus, chapters 25. And it says, And Yahweh spoke to Moshe in Mount Sinai, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, When you come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath to Yahweh. Okay, now, 6 years you shall sow your field, and 6 years you shall prune your vineyard and gather the fruit therein. Let me give you the sophisticated, the philosophical meaning behind that. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest to the land, a Sabbath for Yahweh. You shall neither sow your field nor prune your vineyard. Now, of course, technically speaking, and I don't mean to be mean to any government here or any people in particular. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I will say this, that God got his Sabbath this time round. God got his Sabbath because he shut the whole world down. He said, okay, you can all keep a Sabbath, and they all did. See, everybody kept a Sabbath, the whole lockdown. What do you think the whole lockdown is? You see, what goes around comes around. It's what we call karma. And so karma can follow people too. So what you see today is that we haven't really cared about what God says for so long. And we've been doing our own thing. So guess what? God, just sent a little virus, and call it whatever you want. Call it biological weapon, call it something else. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, God is Sabbath. God got his Sabbath. How? He shut the whole world down. And everybody's at a rest. And they are telling us that the planet has been the cleanest. The skies are the cleanest. There's no smog up there. There's no pollution because the factories are shut down. So the earth got a beautiful Sabbath. Not one, it's probably got a few Sabbaths. If you've been locked down for 3 months, how many Sabbaths did the earth gain of those 3 months? At least 13, 14 Sabbaths. Think about it. So it's interesting that God got his Sabbath. So my point is this, that when God talks about the Sabbath, 6 days of 6 days of working and 7th day of rest, let me give you a philosophical meaning of that. It means 6 days you work your 6 days you work your manifestations, you work your desires. 7th day you rest is when you reap them. In other words, there is a time that we work our desires. That might be affirmations that you write and you read them every day for 6 days, and then you let it go and you rest and you wait for the result. So that is a meaning behind that. And now you can be, when Jesus of Nazareth, Yeshua of Nazareth, when he was speaking, he said that, you tell that mountain over there to move and the mountain will move. So, and here we're under the mountain. You see here, the law has been given, we're under the mountain or beside the mountain, and God is talking about the Sabbath, God is talking about the time to work and the time to prune and all of that. So, and it says that the Sabbath of the land shall be food for you, and for your servant, and for your maid, and for your hired servant, and for your foreigner that sojourn with you. So my point is this, that you can either move the mountain, or you can become the mountain. What do you want to do? Do you want to move the mountain, or do you want to become the mountain? If you become the mountain, you will never go anywhere in life. You will just be static at one rest, and you don't go left, you don't go right, you don't go forward, you don't go back, because you have become the mountain. But if you want to move the mountain, then you do what you've been taught. Then you write your desire, you write your affirmations, and you start working on them. You listen to your audios, you listen to your script, and you start working on it. Because when you start working on it, you're moving that mountain. The Yeshua, Jesus of Nazareth spoke about, the one that Moses wrote about, and every other prophet spoke about it too. So it's up to you. Do you want to be the mountain, or do you want to move the mountain? And a lot of people today, they have every excuse under the sun for not moving the mountain. But I can give you every reason under the sun to move that mountain. So there is nothing that says that you can't receive the things that you desire. Rabbi Abraham Abdullah was a rabbi, was a great teacher of Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard was a very fortunate man that he got a great teacher like that. And he was able to teach him some principles of the Torah, and he taught him principles of New Testament. Even though New Testament wasn't, his theology. He didn't believe in the New Testament as a theology, but he taught him the principles behind it. And Neville Goddard went around the country teaching. Neville Goddard, by the way, was a British man who happened to be in America and lived in America. And he carried those principles, and he wrote several books after that. And he mentions his teacher in few places. But I say this. In 1950s America, this country was a very bleak place for a black person. A person of color wasn't treated nicely in the 1950s America. But at that time, Rabbi Abraham, who was a black guy from Ethiopia, was able to do everything that a lot of the black Americans were not able to do. Now what does that tell you? That tells you that he had utilized the power. He was utilizing the power within him. And he was able to go to Oprah, he was able to sit in cinemas, he was able to go to barber shops. These are the places where the black people in America that had just come out of slavery were not allowed to go. They were not allowed to go there. They were, very, very mistreated. The black people, and you know better than me, the Indian people, red Indian people. Those two guys were singled out, and of course Chinese as well, because Chinese were seen as also yellow people and not good people and things like that. So it was a very different America in the 50s. And yet Rabbi Abraham was able to go to the opera house, sit with all the white people over there and enjoy the opera. Now what does that tell you about him versus the black people in America at the time? You people did not exercise the power that God gave you. That's what it says. And when I came over here, and since 2015, things have not been the same. I have tried to illustrate, and I've tried to teach you in different ways. And, some people from the projects, who didn't like me, who didn't like my teachings, have gone on to slander me, and because of homosexual teaching and blah, 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 bullshit this and bullshit that, total nonsense. Where are those people today? What are they doing? What is their life status? Total zero and nil. That's where the life status is. But where are you, those people who followed through? Where are the people who followed through? Where are the people who actually did what I said to do? They're actually they're at the top of the food chain. They're the people who are today are saying that, God has blessed me tremendously, Baruch Hashem, Yahweh that. So this is where you want to be. You want to be at the top of the food chain. You want to be a blessing to yourself, your family, and others. You don't want to be some named guy out there on the internet who all day long he's got nothing better to do than to write a post on the internet, and he's been cursed by his wife, cursed by his neighbors, cursed by his relatives. You don't want to be there, by the way. That's what's happening to those people who think that they are fighting against me. They're fighting against God, and they cannot stop. They cannot stop this movement, and they cannot stop the betterment of our people. They cannot stop it, because all they're doing is they're fueling it. They're giving it more fuel to the fire, and Baruch Hashem Yahweh for that. And thank you for the publicity out there, for giving it to me on the internet free of charge. I don't have to pay for it. People go to YouTube and they pay for publicity and they put their ads out. I don't need to do that. I'm getting free publicity. Thank you very much. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the publicity, because I will always be compassionate. I will always be compassionate to the homosexuals. I will always be compassionate to the poor. I will always be compassionate to those that are in need. I will always have compassion. I will never be that religious, dogmatic person who puts people down because their faith is not the same as me, or because their belief is not the same as me. I will never do that. By the way, I'll never do that. So, having said that, Baruch Hashem Yahweh, that we are able to be in a position to get the things that we desire in our life. So this is why I wanted to tell you that, my whole day, right, is not spent on, who should I slander and who should I go and put down. No, my whole day is spent on what is the best way for my people, For the people who believe in the God of Israel, the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, what is the best way for them to benefit in their lives? What best and what quickest methods to benefit in their lives? That's what I think about all day long. And that's what I do all day long. And that's what I practice all day long. And that's what I devise all day long. That's my life, basically. So, all day and every week, and some people who are close to me will tell you that this is what Rabbi Simon does. I'm always examining things, testing things, what thing works, what doesn't work. We're doing it to make a little modification here, a little tweak over there, and to make those things work better and faster. And so, having said that, what I have learned is that there is the way of writing affirmations. There's a traditional way where you say, I am a millionaire, for instance. And you're told that saying I am a millionaire is the best way to write. I can tell you that is not the best way to write. Through my examination, through my testing. You may also be told that the best way to write an affirmation is to say, I choose to be a millionaire. And that, may have some truth to it, but I will also tell you that is not the best way to write. Then somebody will say to you that maybe you should write some other way. And I can tell you that all of those ways that people speak about, I can definitely tell you what way works and what doesn't work. This is why some people, they get what they desire because they just happen to hit the right tone, and some don't. But I will tell you in passing, as I pass, and I will tell you this, as a little secret to your source, is that whatever list that you've written, if you've written, I am a millionaire, if you've written, I'm a great man, I have really great immunity, whatever affirmations you've written, as long as you record them in a little audio, in a phone or in a tape or in whatever method of recording you have in your presence, if you record it and you listen to it over and over again during the day, and even more so, if you listen to it at night when you sleep, that is a secret key to the source of success. That will bring you success. Now there will be what I might call resistance or judgment. Don't ever judge. Let me tell you why don't ever judge. Because when you judge, you'll create resistance, and resistance will create failure. So don't ever judge anything. Don't judge and say, well, I don't like that man over there because he's wearing yellow clothes. I don't like those two guys because they're gays. I don't like those two women because they're lesbians. I don't like that man over there because he's got a long mustache. I don't like him over there because he's wearing a turban. Don't ever judge. Because when you judge people, you restrict yourself. And you fail yourself. You'll create failure for yourself. So don't do that. So having said that, I will leave you with this. That record your audio, your I am statements that you desire to receive, and listen to them, especially at night when you're sleeping. That is the best time that they will penetrate into your subconscious, and they will allow you to make that God connection. It is very important that we make the God connection. Bereshit bara Elohim. Memorize these words in your mind. Bereshit bara Elohim. We must make that God connection in order to create. If we don't make the God connection, we don't create. But we are all creators, by the way. By default, we are all creators. And the creation is not finished. No rabbi on this planet who is worth anything of his worth, Jewish rabbis I'm telling you now, no rabbi on the planet will say creation is finished. We are part and parcel responsible for creation. We are part and parcel responsible for it. So therefore, I highly encourage you to listen and apply. Creation is not finished. We are responsible for creation. All these beautiful things that we see in our world, flying planes, spaceships, different color bottles, different types of TV, smartphones, we are the creators of those. By the way, God did not come to create them. We created them. So how did they create? Well, through the help of God, of course. God that lives within you. So never ever underestimate another person by saying, well, I have more God than he does, just because he follows a different religion. Don't talk like that. You will see that in our Torah, we were never ever told to go to another people and proselytize them. If you can show me a single passage in the Torah that says, I must go to my next door neighbor and proselytize him, I'll give you $10 million. If you can prove it, you will never be able to prove it. Therefore, I don't have to give you $10 million. That's my gambit. But having said that, is that we are not supposed to, because we are supposed to practice and exercise ourselves. So this is why when the Bible says, I set before you, the Torah says, I set before you life and death. Well, what is life and what is death? Death is our old way of living. You know, typical old way of living could be, we're going to church, we're doing our Sunday service, we have our Sunday meal, we sit down, we moan, we say this wasn't right, and that churchman didn't do this right, and that member in the church said this. You know, that's the old way of living, by the way. What's the new way of living? Well, we are creators, so we use the creation to our best effect. And we create our situations, we create our happiness, we create our lives. I highly encourage you all to create your lives the best life possible. Always remember that for you are seeking out wives and seeking out husbands, make sure that you put compassion in there as the highest order. Because without compassion, it'll just be another religion, and it'll just be dogma, and it will be breakup of those kind of relationships. You don't want to go there. So with that, I'll pass over to Rabbi Kefa. Shabbat Shalom, and Shalom Shalom to you.
Yeah, Todah Rabah, Kohen, if I can be heard, can I get a one? I'm going to get a mic check in this morning. I just want to make sure I'm coming in. Todah Kohen. Okay, yeah, Baruch Hashem, as well, Pharaoh's good. He wants to stay here with me. Great. Yeah, Todah Rabah, and Shabbat all of you, and Shalom Shalom to you as well. Yeah, I think what you're going to find, and truly, from my mind and my perspective from this front, is this. I was thinking about this week as well, Hakohen, and I think, and I know Hakohen has hit on the secret sauce. Because, you know, my thought process this week was like, and how many of you ever thought like this? Like, have you ever stopped and you think about throughout your day, as you go through your day? Like, where does your mind take you? Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever sit and just watch time and just see where it takes you? I mean, you could be sitting at work or doing something. You could just be at home watching TV, but you're really not what. But have you ever studied where your mind takes you? And, you know, the secret sauce, just what Hakohen said is so true. I believe that. And I'm definitely going to put it into play. Is that, you know, you have to listen to yourself. Think about what I just said. You have to listen to yourself. Now, it's important because throughout the day, I notice it just even with myself, is that my mind will take me other places and it's like I'm reeling in my mind to go this way, but it wants to go that way. You know what I mean? It wants to go the total opposite, different direction. And so this is why if you play the recordings of your affirmations, then your mind will be occupied, literally occupied with listening to yourself in a positive way, because you're affirming what you want. Well, actually what you desire, what your dreams are for yourself, to meet your mark. You know, none of this center chicken dinner stuff that you heard earlier from somebody, I think it was Ruth Sawyer talking about, oh, that's sinning and blah, blah, blah. There's no time for all that mumbo jumbo. There's no time for no more osities, you know, or anities. It's just that those periods are over with for us. Baruch Hashem, and I truly give thanks for that. So the important factor, just a Shabbat Shalom to you, the important factor is this, is to listen to yourself. Now, you know, some of us say, well, Rabbi, I'm listening to myself and I don't like what I'm hearing. This is why you must play these recordings, and I'm a believer in this. Listen, and I affirm it. Listen to them at night while you go to sleep. Then your mind, you begin to reprogram your mind and your thoughts to where they're focused on what you really desire for yourself, what you dream about. And then it'll become real. Because just like our Queen said, I firmly believe this, and I'm a witness to it. Excuse me. My wife mixes these awesome teas. But, excuse me. I'm a believer in this, is that we're not done creating. You know, Nachshon, my son turned 8 months old yesterday. Baruch Hashem. 8 months old. I'm like, man, I bat my eyes, he's 8 months old. And I'm like, wow. And I look at him, and I spent the whole day with him yesterday, just hanging out, father and son. And I'm like, wow. I was a participant in creating this because I'm telling you, he looks the spitting image of me. I look at him and I see myself. And I know, I guess this is just proud father, but, you know, I think he's just proud father, but I'm pretty sure all of you fathers have experienced this as well. You know, I'm first-time father, proud father, and it's like, you know what I mean? It's like you see within yourself, you know, your progeny, and that you carry on, and that your legacy lives on in your son. And, you know, I'm looking at my son, and he looks just like me, and I'm like, wow, I created this. I was a participant in creating this beautiful thing, this loving, innocent, you know, just beautiful thing, Baruch Hashem. And just so beautiful. Daniel saying, I was thinking about that, Chief Kefa, about my mind and how it tries to take me to different directions. And I find myself having to put my mind by the horns and steer back into what I originally was trying to focus on, or what I should be focused on. And you see, Daniel, this is why I firmly believe the key is just what Rabbi Simon the Cooney was teaching us, is that we have to begin to reprogram. You know, Hakohen, amongst being a physician, he's also an engineer, IT engineer. So, do you get how you have to reprogram? You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to reprogram your mind, because for so many years, our mind has been conditioned to a certain environment and a certain way of just doing things. So it literally, you know, it's just like that rebirth. The Christians call it born again. But no, you literally have to birth your mind. Is that being done by the, anities and the osities and the isms? But it's literally about, rebirthing. So how do you do that? You begin to listen to yourself. But you begin to listen to yourself in a way that's programmed to be positive. That's programmed to engineer what? Engineer the desire, the dream, Baruch Hashem. And a lot of you are already seeing that. It's not about osity, ism. It's not about Catholicism. It's not about anity. It's not about Christianity. But it's about self and fixing ourselves. And that's been the evolution that we've been seeing at Forever-Israel that's coming from the Kohen. Bit by bit. We're getting it bit by bit. Some of you can take the 7-course meal, while others, you just deal with the hors d'oeuvre, and that's okay. But we're getting it bit by bit. And what we're finding is that we understand is that everything happens within. Everything takes place within. We don't have to go out searching for anything, literally. I mean, that was one of the biggest dog and pony shows that was put up. That I faced. How many of you were in my camp? Well, one time or another. Is that you thought you had to go out and seek for something outside of yourself. Like, I just got to find this inner peace or this inner man or inner woman within myself, blah, blah. I just got to find them. It's not, I don't have the power within myself to do it. You see, that's the condition that we've been taught here in that Western mindset, is that we don't have the power within ourselves. And just like you heard in Hakohen's lecture, it's just the polar opposite. We're told from the very beginning of the books of Bereshit, in the beginning, that we have the power within us. It's within ourselves to create. It's within ourselves to create. Because get this, you can have all the mentors in the world, and I'm a big fan of mentors. You can have all the mentors in the world, but unless that mentorship that you have with the mentor is applied with yourself to where you begin to believe and you begin to act and do just like the mentor, then having all the mentors in the world is not going to help you. If you don't listen to the instruction and follow through with the process and procedure that the mentor is advising or instructing upon. Do you get it? My desire is that truly sinking in, because when we're getting to the grits and the greens the secret sauce to this awesome meal that's been laid out before us. And just like our Kohen said, we've been given dominion over this world. That's just, that's our remit. We've been given dominion. Now, what we do to dominate is on us. Do we desire and aspire to dominate is on us. Do we affirm to be dominators? Is that an affirmation that you have written down? I am a dominant. I am a dominator. I dominate. I am an I overcome. I am an overcomer and I overcome. Baruch Hashem. What situation? So it's and we listen to ourselves. And when we listen to ourselves talk the way I'm talking now, oh my goodness, Daniel. Then it's like we counter and we come with the kryptonite to mind wandering. You know what I mean? Where your mind, and I mean, listen, we're all human beings, and by nature, because of the condition that we've been in, whatever environment where we're at, there's some form of conditioning to what we all have. And if we don't guard against this, you've got to be very careful, because this will come in real subtle and just wreck you. It'll come in many different forms, like we talked about last year. It'll come in the form of fear, and then fear will just throw kryptonite on your ability to be positive, because you're just going to go along with the masses and not think for yourself. And that's one of the key things in this corona age that we're in that's very important for all of us to understand, is that we must continue think for ourselves. And I firmly believe, and I desire, that the world will begin to open its eyes and individuals and humanity will think for themselves. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Not just following the masses because everybody's doing it and you're supposed to do it, but how about think for yourself? Think what's going to be best for you and your family. Think for yourself. Have a lot of different opinions out there. Different opinions are important. There's nothing wrong with having different opinions. I think that's healthy, right? How many of you, the married couples, how many of you argue? I'm going to put up an A. How many of you have arguments within your marriage? Do you understand having arguments within your marriage is quite healthy? It's healthy to do so. That's different opinions, differing opinions. There is no relationship, in all honesty, if you're going to be honest, there is no relationship that does not have arguments in it. Come on. There's just not none. Now, I'm not saying arguments to where you might think, oh, well, yeah, we're picking up knives and she's throwing pots at me. I'm not talking about that. That's, that's more on the side of assault and battery. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about healthy arguments to where you may disagree on some points. And that's okay to have different opinions. That's perfectly fine. That's healthy. Respectfully. You know what I mean? Daniel, a.k.a. Torah Walker, saying, before I forget, I give praises and honor and esteem to Abba Yahweh for granting me my petition of expert surgery yesterday, as it was a successful surgery and is at home resting. And so I also my son, who drove his father's car and for the very first time. He's an excellent driver. Baruch Hashem indeed. Daniel, I'm pretty sure both of you had your seatbelts on. Baruch Hashem, that's great. That is totally awesome. That is totally awesome. Oh yeah, indeed. Indeed. That is totally awesome, and I give thanks to the Master for, Daniel being able to create the necessary environment that he desired for himself before you go into it. Now, before I get even further into it, I want you all to get ready to be at the ready by your computer, your keyboard warriors, because this is going to be a 5-second question, and you have to answer this question in 5 seconds. But before I go there, I just want to open up the Parsha. Yeah, you'll soon see Keep Sheba with your son soon. Yeah, indeed I will. And I'm going to be totally strapped in, believe you me. I'm going to have those harnesses like they have in the Indy 500. I'm going to be suited and booted. I'm going to have the helmet. I'm going to be an Indy 500 driver. Yael, woman of the tent, you in the room? I'm going to be an Indy 500 driver, looking locked in the vehicle, ready to go, and totally happy and proud that my son is driving a car. So But before we move any further, I would like to go, right from our scriptures and read this out of the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, to really kind of give you understanding, the same verse that our Kohen read, but again, we're going to look at a different layer of it. You see, because there's so many different layers to our Torah. There's so many different levels to it. It's beautiful. When we look at Leviticus chapter 25, and I'm going to read verses 1 and 2. 2 is what we really go hone in on. Verses 1 of chapter 5 of Leviticus. And Yahweh spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land which I give you, then shall you keep a Shabbat to Yahweh. Now, I'm going to stop right there because now we talk about affirming, we talk about seeing things and speaking things into existence. Do you know this is just the mindset that the master was teaching the children? Let's go back and read that again so you can see it. I tell you, this stuck out to me like a ton of, like my favorite wine here. Look at verse 2. It says, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land. Listen, the children of Israel are not in the land yet. Do you get it, Miss Behar? You don't see that $1 million in your bank account yet. It's just not there. You look at your statement and it doesn't say that right now. Or you're not physically in that house that you desire and that you're envisioning. Do you understand? You understand what I mean? Here? But get this. You're already talking like you're there. You see, that's just what's happening. So the master is preparing the children. Listen, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land, not in the land yet, which I give you, then you keep the Shabbat. You see, so already preparing. This is again that mental preparation, that mental conditioning that needs to take place. You see, you need to mind prepare before the physical will take place. This is why it's so important that when you listen to yourself, you're listening to yourself for the things that you desire and you want for you, that you desire for yourself, that you dream of for yourself, that you aspire and that you affirm for yourself. Are you with me? When you come into the land, see, you're not in the land yet, but the land is yours. Are you with me, Miss Behar? You're not in the house yet, but the house is yours. Make plans for the house. You don't have that husband yet, but the husband is yours. Make plans for the husband. You don't have that wife yet, but the wife is yours. So make plans. Talk like you already have it. You're talking about keeping some Shabbat, and you're not even in the land yet, but you are in the land. So this is what you're going to do. You keep Shabbat. Are you with me? Why didn't the master explain the preparations after they were already in the land? Do you see it? No, the children of Israel wasn't even in the land yet. He's already talking about, well, when you get in the land, then you're going to keep the Shabbat. Shabbat shalom to you, all of our people of France. So, do you get it? I tell you, this is earth-shaking stuff here. So, the children of Israel, our forefathers, the Hebrews were already being prepared. They were being prepped. You see, because you got to understand, they come out of a mindset of some serious conditioning in Egypt. Could you imagine the conditioning that they had? Much less, let's not talk about the conditioning that we have in the West. We're talking about the conditioning that they have. They were like slaves, man. The slave, lower than dirt type of mentality. That a cow is more valuable than you are, a bull is more valuable than you are. Does that sound familiar? At one time in history, as our Cody was telling you over here in North America, is that those were seen on the books. This is in the law books of the laws of the land here in America. That, people of color were seen as lesser value than a cow. Can you imagine that? And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even think they took that off the books yet. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they may not have taken that off the books yet. That hasn't been amended out of the books. That's American history. They're in your face. You see? So can you imagine, the conditioning that our forefathers had, the Hebrews? Oh, so what? One dies, next one up. Again, injustice is taking place. James says it's still on the record. So again, listen, we got to call a spade, you see. So that conditioning, it's important that you begin to what? Speak things that you got to create your existence. You see, the Master Yahweh was preparing the Hebrews for Shabbat, preparation. But the Shabbats weren't taking place in the land yet because they weren't in there yet. So you have to mentally prepare first before you can see the physical of it. Wow. And we see that pattern. So when our Kohen is teaching us to us, he's teaching us an ancient pattern from the very beginnings of time. We understand that the Hebrews and the strangers that were among them, they faced a lot of troubles in Egypt. And I'm pretty sure, Daniel, they have a lot of bad memories. You see? And listen, when you keep walking and treading through the desert, where do you think their mind is going? You ever thought about that? You know what I mean? So there has to be positive reinforcement. Something that's just going to, push them and keep that drive. Again, for us today, in 2020, listen to yourself. That's why Hakohen is saying, hey, you got to listen to yourself. You got to record your affirmations. You got to record your list, and then you got to just play it and play it. Affirming. And then it's just going to begin to deal with that conditioning that's always been there, and it's going to replace it, and it's going to be a new birth. A new birth of the way you think. You're birthing a new, it's like bringing forth a baby. And I'll never forget this as long as I lived on the face of this earth and into the next life. Seeing the birth of my son. And that doctor lifting him up out of my wife's abdomen. And he just looking at me, and I'm telling you, I see it. It's just like and when I saw it, it reminded me of a Chinese dragon. And I think I told you the story before. But Chinese dragons are different than American dragons. You want to know how? Chinese dragons, they don't spew fire. They spew water. Chinese dragons, you can go study this. Chinese dragons are seen as a great blessing because they give out water. They don't spew fire. See, American dragons, they come out with this fire mumbo jumbo. Did you all know that? Chinese dragons, you always see them. You look at your illustrations, they'll be spewing water. Water comes out of their mouth, not fire. And so I'm seeing Nakshan for the first time. The doctor lifts him up. And she says, here's your son. My goodness, my world. I tell you, I remember this and I will remember it like yesterday forever. And the first thing that came out of Nakshan's mouth was water. And I was like, wow, my son is a dragon. A Chinese dragon. And that has good connotation. That's why you always see, you go to Chinese stores, Chinese restaurants, you always see them have the dragon there. That's a good symbol, good omen. How many of you knew that? So again, it's very, very important to understand that everything in life, as creators that we are, we're creators. We're creators. I saw myself create and Nakshan, and he's here. But Nakshan was spoken about a long time ago in my living room downstairs with Hakohen there was spoken. He told me this, and I'll never forget. Kefa, you need to have a son. I was like, what the heck? My wife's tubes are tied, burned, singed, all that. But he told me just like that. He said, Kefa, you need to have a son. Many years later, guess what? 8 months old, Nakshan is here. Alive and kicking. Baruch Hashem. I give thanks to the Master Yahweh. And more importantly, I give thanks to my Kohen in the gate, my teacher, the Kohen, Rabbi Simon out there. But again, listen to yourself. And we're not done yet. We're just getting started. We're just getting started with creation, right? How many of you say the same thing? Yeah, Rabbi, we're not done yet, Rabbi Kefa. We're just getting started with our creationism, Baruch Hashem. And we're creating, and we're creating, and we're creating. And our method of creation is only going to get better, more effective, more potent. And that's what we do. But again, The secret to the sauce, I firmly believe, just like Akoya said, is what? The secret to the sauce is what? Listening to yourself. Listening to yourself. But you gotta come from a point of positivity to deal with all that negativity that's been there in the conditioning. And some of it's it's really not negativity. Some of it's just neutral. Your mind will just take you. Do you agree with me, Daniel? Because Daniel, we've been on the same wavelength here. Well, your mind will just take you to these neutral places. That's either here or there, and it's just wasted mind. I guess you can call it wasted mind periods. You know what I mean? Well, your mind, you're thinking it's just about nonsense. It's just nothingness. It's not really, it's not really negative, but it's just like, man, why would you even go over there? I mean, that doesn't even make $1 out of 15 cents, but yet your mind will take you there. It's like idle mind periods. You know what I mean? And if you don't guard against this, the majority of your day will be consumed. Your mind will be consumed with idle mind periods. And this is why it's so important you listen to yourself in MP3, especially when you sleep, because that reinforces things. It just reinforces things. And that's your quiet time. When you're about, what percentile dead at that time when you're sleeping? It depends on what you're in, but your projection of being, out-of-body experiences is quite high during the time of your sleep, depending on what realm of sleep that you're in, what realm. So again, you have to examine these things and say, okay, how do I combat this idle mind periods? You begin to reinforce in your mind the positiveness, the positivity, the desires and dreams that you want for yourself. Your list. You begin to just hear that over and over. I guarantee you, it can do nothing but bring more positivity and produce your desires that you want for yourself more effectively and even more quicker, maybe. Not maybe, it will. Who will? Because it's just all positive. Your creation capability will be improved and enhanced. And again, here we go, dealing with the mind. And it's so important that we mind our business. Isn't it so important that we mind our business? You have to mind your business. And recording your affirmations and just hearing them today if you can, at night especially, oh my goodness. It's going to do wonders. And it is doing wonders. But again, put it into play, put it into practice, and see what happens. You see, you have to prepare your mind, and then the physical will come into place. But you got to prepare the mind for it. And so when the physical happens, you'll be like, okay, cool. Everybody around you will be like, oh, you're the magic man. Remember we talked about the magic man? Oh, you're the magic man. Daniel says it's work sometimes, hard work, maintaining the mind. Oh, indeed it is. So now you have to make it easier. Again, at the end of the day, we are human beings. The people that will be successful, human beings that will be successful at this, are those, and I'm telling you, another great thing is, listen, I love money, and money loves me, and we have a friendship that's going to last forever. I love watching, biographies, or I love listening to people who are millionaires and billionaires. I love just to them. Because if you see and studying these people, that they have a mindset of just, hey, this is what I did, and I didn't change anything, and I kept doing it. As bad things happened, but it didn't matter. I stayed with it. I stuck with it. And you know what? Another common thread you'll find amongst billionaires and millionaires is that they had a lot of failures, but guess what? They kept testing. And they kept testing. And they kept testing. Why does our Kohen keep telling us to test? Oh, he's testing. There's something to testing, isn't it? And I'm going to bring that up in a minute. But before I do that, I want you all, I'm going to give you, as I'm talking right now, I'm going to give you all a couple of minutes to get by your keyboards and ready to type. I'm going to ask this question, and you're going to only have 5 seconds to respond to this. I asked my daughter this last night as well. But you're only going to have 5 minutes, so I want to prepare you so I'm not coming left field. I'm not throwing a right hook at you, but I want you to see the punch coming. I want you to anticipate and see the punch coming. Okay? So here we go with the question. Here's the question right here. And I'm gonna count down verbally the 5-second ticker after I ask the question. Now, you need to get your response in. Well, you should be able to get your response in before 5 seconds, because this will be telling as a part of the test. Okay, here we go. You ready, Ms. Behar? Here we go. Here is the question. Who is your hero? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Time's up. Hero. Okay, then you got it in Mom. Shane, y'all got it in Yahweh. James say, I am. Deborah says, Rabbi Simon. Torah says, me. Baruch Hashem. Tada for that. Luxury class says, Master Yeshua. Baruch Hashem. Who is your hero? That was the question. Now, that question, I mean, my goodness, that question can take you many different places. But have you ever thought about that? You see, those that couldn't respond quick enough, this probably means that you didn't think about it. Rabbi Simon says, Moses for me. Now, if you had to think about it, the question, now, here's where we're going with that. We're going here. You know, I've been noticing with the coronavirus situation, how many of you are noticing in your neighborhood the word hero a lot? You're seeing it on TV, or you're seeing it in billboard signs, the word hero. Anybody, put up a 1. Or no, let's put up a capital H. If you notice, like, hero being thrown around a lot these days. Oh, these people are heroes. This person a hero. The hero bill, right? Yeah, I heard about that. The hero bill, Baruch Hashem. But you've been hearing the word hero, and it kind of, I was examining this week, and I was like, wow. You know, and I asked myself, well, who is my hero? And for me, my hero would be my mother. For me, it's my mother. My mother and father, they're my hero. But again, we all have heroes, and again, you can have more than one hero. But the question the question is an open-ended question in the fact that, you know, what I want to do with your minds is, and my desire is that you have a hero. Is that you must have a hero, at least one. You must have, and that hero, I mean, it shouldn't take you 5 seconds to put out that hero. I have a few, but I couldn't put it down quickly. No problem. No problem. But you all, now, let's take the question even further. You've seen in this room, some of you in this room are heroes already. You may have a hero, but other people see you as a hero too. They look up to you as a hero. Now we have to delve even a little bit deeper. Like, what is a hero? What quantifies a hero to you? There's no wrong answer here. What quantifies a hero to you? What is hero qualification or characteristic? I mean, if you look at heroes, what do they all have in common? And I guarantee you we can say this, is that a hero is an action person. You look at a hero because they do a particular action. Think about it for a minute. And that particular action is something that attracted you to that person. And that particular action had a very healthy bearing on your life. You look at character heroes on TV, what are they always doing? They literally took time of saving somebody's life, correct? They're literally like saving somebody from the clutch of death. Think about it for a minute. You're right, Adelia, at the expense of maybe even harm to themselves. But they're superheroes, so they can't get hurt, right? Look at the Avengers. Where are they now? So again, you look at heroes and you look at, well, why do I consider this person a hero? And again, the hero will have an effect on your life in a positive way. So you hold them at a higher standard. Just like, and I hope you all, and my desire is that you don't mind me, calling your names out in your responses. I don't want to offend anybody by doing that. But Luxury Class said, the Master Yeshua was a hero. Somebody that had an effect on his life because of the actions that the Master did And the word that the Master said that still carry over even to this day. My mother and father, they said, the words that they said to me carry over to me to this day, and I'm passing them on to my children and my children's children. Because they had an effect in the action. My father is not too much of a word person, but his actions speak his actions are far outlived his wording. And Baruch Hashem, I'm pretty sure some of you have that same experience as well. So you consider him a hero. You know what I mean? So, again, you can have different heroes. There is no right or wrong to who your hero is. But the point I want to drive home is today is that we all need heroes. If you're a hero, some of you are heroes. But guess what? You have a hero or heroes. And in this corona age that we're in right now, I'm starting to see a lot of heroes. Heroes come in many shapes, forms, and fashions, and builds. And it's a beautiful thing to sit here and behold, is to see heroes. So I want you all to understand. Daniel's saying one of my heroes is my mom with the great disposition of shalom. She has always had and imparted on me. And of course, my Av, who increased me with a mother like this, Baruch Hashem. Oh, indeed. Indeed. And you'll find when you meditate on who your heroes really are in your life, you'll find when you get to the grits and the greens and you get into the meat and potatoes that, it's going to boil down to people that are close to you. People that you can reach out to, people that you can phone, people that you can touch, people that you can embrace. The people that are close to you. Not fictitious people, but real people. You know what I mean? Real human beings that really had an effect on, who you are today, the character build and the makeup of yourself today as the person that you are. So heroes are very, very important. And some of you are heroes. Some of you may not aspire to be heroes, but you are in others' eyes. Whilst others, you take that mantle of heroism or heroism to the next level. Or heroism, because for others, your hero is a heroine, Baruch Hashem. So, that's something to really look at and examine. That's why I just thought I would put that out as well. So, going forward, I would like to discuss another big issue that we've been discussing already, that's always been on the forefront for us as the children of Israel and the families, that, we look at the mind. We've been talking about the mind a lot. And in this corona age, I think it's apropos and it's very important that we do discuss this as well. Because I've seen it within my own family, and I'll just give you a little illustration, is that, all of you understand that we're social creatures, right? We're not meant to be put in, like our Kohen talked about, cubes. We're not meant to be put in cubes, and we're meant to be social, and we're meant to interact with one another. We're human beings. That's in our DNA to do so. So when we have to isolate and we have to confine ourselves, I'm noticing that if careful, we must guard against having mental problems behind this. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Now, I'll tell you from experience here within my own family, and I had to literally get them out of the house the other day and just take them out shopping because they haven't been out. You know what I mean? And I heard this from my wife, and I was like, wow, it's kind of taken aback. Because he's like, it really feels good to get out of the house. And my daughter doesn't like to shop, but she was like, wow, I'm so glad that I can go shopping and I can get out of the house. You know what I mean? So it's very, very important that we do get out during this corona age where they're telling you to stay in. Take advantage and get out, because mental issues are coming behind this. You see, everybody's looking for right now a vaccine, but there's a lot of deep mental factors that are applying as well. And you all, family, you have to guard against this as well with your family and protect them. Get them out of the house, take them to the park, do what you need to do to keep that social contact, which is very important. And you'll find in studies as well, I told this to our Kohen, do you know, one of the worst things that you can do with a virus is isolate the individuals. Because do you know what isolation really does? Isolation limits. Do you know it limits your immune system? Do you know that? Do you know the best thing for a virus is exposure? Do you all understand that? So, in all actuality, we're doing the actual reverse of what we need to be doing. You know, they're closing beaches, right, when they need to be opening beaches. Do you know how much, and there's studies on this too, that, you know, how much healing properties are in the water at beaches? How much healing properties are in the sand? Think about this for a minute. But people don't think like this. Because sometimes they get this conditioning and they think, well, we've been told to stay in the house, we've been told. And Rabbi Kefa's not telling you to break the rules, but I'm telling you, you do need to get out when you have the opportunity. Get out. You know, take a drive, go for a walk, but get out of your home. Because isolation is not the key. That's not the key. I'm going to give you a great example of this. And I told it to our Kohen. My grandmother, the Cajun woman that she was, Creole woman that she was, and she was you would consider her like a healer. Some people, they would call it black magic, but it wasn't black magic. She was actually healing people. She was a healer. People couldn't afford to go to the doctor during her time. And a lot of these doctors couldn't see them anyway. So she would grow all kind of herbs, and you know, she would say her little her chants and all that, and people was getting healed. She was like a healer. But you know, she found out that I was allergic to bee stings, Miss Behar, and you know what my grandmother did? She threw me in a beehive full of bee stings, full of bees, and guess what? Rabbi Kefa got stung multiple times. And guess what today? Now I'm not allergic to bee stings anymore. Are you get where we're going here, Miss Behar? Do you understand what's going on here? So the same way with these exposed. This is why these countries that didn't close down, kudos to them. Kudos to them. Kudos to them. Because they did a great thing. You see, the thing you want to do is to expose. Is to expose the virus and then let the virus tell on itself. But when you keep people in isolation, you actually kill their immune system. Because when they're in isolation, what does the immune system have to fight? Nothing. The immune system can't get stronger if it don't fight anything. Are you with me? So let me just put this out there and you're going to see for yourself. As these countries and states start to open up, you're going to actually see a rise in the number of cases. Are you with me? How many of you are still with me? Pay close attention to this. You're going to actually see a rise in the number of cases of corona. It's because why? Everybody been isolated, so nobody had exposure. So it's very important that you understand this. I'm telling you. From a spiritual point as well, is that we're people and we're creatures that need to be exposed to one another, not segregated. You see, Hakoin said all the lockdowns are political. Oh, indeed. And then there's an agenda. So we have to guard ourselves against falling into the sheep led to the slaughter mentality. Remember we talked about earlier, you got to listen to yourself and you got to think to yourself. And common sense will tell you that with anything, vulnerability for the elderly, because they already have underlying conditions already. You know what I mean? Yeah, these people, they're already being segregated against because they're already being quarantined because they already had underlying conditions to begin with. You see what I mean? But for the healthy young whippersnappers out there, get out there. Should be out there. But you're going to see, again, and we saw it here in Texas because we were one of the first states to open up that we had a spike. We had a spike in the cases because why? People began to interact with one another again. Now, I know last Shabbat I talked about the new normal, but what you all need to understand, family, is keep things normal the way you like to do things. I'm encouraging you to do that. Because as you all know, some people don't take the change well. How many of you understand that? Some people do not take the change well. Sometimes they don't take it. So again, keep your normal. You know what I mean? Hakoin said, spike will also build herd immunity. Oh, indeed, Hakoin. So we should have never been Yeah, you're saying Rabbi Kefa, well, you're Monday morning quarterbacking this. Yeah, I am. But from the very beginning, I didn't, listen, Rabbi Kefa didn't isolate. Believe me, I was going to work every day. You see, nothing changed for me except the traffic. There was no traffic to get to work. You know what I mean? So, but my family did. They locked down. My daughter didn't go to school, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But I see the effect it had on them. Because to me, everything has been normal. It's just normal, right? But for them, because I didn't realize, hey, well, they're not, yeah, you're going to work every day. You're still out and about in the streets, but they're not. So this is why it was important for me yesterday to get them out. Tell you what, they're the benefactors for it. I'm the benefactor for it as well. Because I saw the light bulb come on within my family, and I was like, wow, boy, it feels so good. They were so happy to get out with a high appreciation now of connecting, of bonding. You see? High appreciation for Walmart. High appreciation for Siams and all that. It's just high appreciation for nature and for the sun. It's better to get out. See the animals, the trees. There's a lot of lessons that we're going to learn from the corona. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. There's a lot of greatness coming out of corona. A lot of ingenuity, amongst all the other mumbo-jumbo out there. But at the end of the day, who's in control? We are in control. We've been given dominion, and it's the powers, God, Lord, El Shaddai, Elohim, whatever you want to call presence, has the ultimate say at the end of the day. Believe you me. And so we see all these things take place. And so I want to guard all the family. I want you to guard against the mental issues that you may see. I want you to be on the lookout for that within your families. If you notice in there, and you see, do you understand on a broader picture when we look at other countries and even the states and even America, you understand why there's been a divorces at this time? Can you see how it can be related when you get to the meat and potatoes to mental issues of not being able to get out? So then what happens? So then the byproduct of that is, look, then I'm going to take out my aggression on my husband. I'm going to take my aggression on my wife. Do you get it? And they're even seeing mental issues within children as well. It's because they're not able to socialize. You know how children are. They like to, get together and tangle and toss and do all these things with their friends, and they're not able to do that anymore. And so can you see how this isolation can disrupt a family very quickly? So we must guard against that, children of Israel. And you must have avenues to where, not a new normal, but just normal can happen. Children don't understand a new normal. Children just understand normal. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? They just understand normal. Well, I was doing that before. Why can't I not do that now? You know what I mean? That mentality. Well, why can't we? Well, before we used to do that. Why can't we do that? You understand? And so again, you have to keep things normal. We're social creatures. Some people don't take, they don't take the, new normal well. You see that in the protests here in America. I don't know, Oliver, are you guys having protests the way Americans are? That are protesting, this so-called lockdown mumbo-jumbo? I mean, they're protesting kicking up all over the place. People are willing to go to jail. You heard Elon Musk say, look, we're going to open up. I tell you what, I'm a big fan of Elon Musk. I love his history. I love, the billion. I'm a billionaire fan. That's my club. And so to hear him say, yeah, we're going to open up in California. And if y'all going to arrest anybody, arrest me. Guess what? They opened up, and he didn't get arrested. So, you understand? See, people, Oliver said, not yet. But the people said, look, we're not going to go with this mumbo-jumbo. We're just not going to do it. There is no rational reason why we need to do that. Remember I told you, think for yourself. You have to think for yourself. And if a woman here in Texas wants to open up her hair salon so she can feed her children, that's a woman that's thinking for herself. And she went to jail for it, that's a woman that's thinking for herself. by any means necessary, come Shiloh or Sheol, she's going to open up her shop so that she can, circulate monies and provide energy for her family. Is there anything wrong with that? Now this woman is, I guarantee you, she's going to make more money than she ever dreamed of now. They may even make a movie out of that. I've been seeing her on all these little news shows, so they can compensate her for coming on these shows. And I say, hey, big ups. Hey, power to you, lady. Because at the end of the day, you have to think for yourself. And all her whole concern was to take care of her family. What's wrong with that? You can't be shutting down I mean, my goodness. Quick to shut down, you should be quick. Not the case for something. The case. It's not the case. So more importantly for us families, I really want to look at families and really, guard our families now at this critical time, crucial time. Is to really look at your families, and you see arguments start to spike up, or disagreements within the family. Get them out, take them out for a drive, take them somewhere, get them out. It's not their fault. They're just trying to rechannel this pent up energy. That's all it is at the end of the day. Is they rechannel it, and sometimes they rechannel it in the wrong way. And so you have to give them avenues to channel that energy, which I think is so vital. It's very, very important. And so the reason why we're in exile today is because we abandoned the Torah. Rabbi Simon Alter, Kohen's hero. We abandoned Moshe's Torah. So we're in exile today. And we were warned in our Parsha, this is a double Parsha, by the way, but in our Parsha we were warned that if we don't adhere to what was promised or the conditions, then we wouldn't be in the land, and we're not in the land today. Doesn't mean we still don't have land rights, but this was all part of the policy of the covenant. Our Kohen saying, create your country strong after Corona. You have the ability to do just that. Indeed, our Kohen. I champion that motion. While everybody want to run with conspiracy theory and Illuminati and blah, 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 put the facts out there and then make the place a better place. Once you see, facts laid out, whatever they may be, at the end of the day, Corona is here. Whether how it got here, who did it, doesn't matter. But we need to take Corona now and just deal with it and then make our places better. First, we need to make our homes better, then it can spread out from there. Use your ingenuity. You all have ingenuity, your creativity. But I guarantee you, is that majority of the homes today are closer than they were before Corona. How many of you would agree with me? Why? It's because you have the opportunity to spend time with one another. Yeah, then you're going to have your sections where they were divorced, this, that, the other, and all that. But at the end of the day, majority of the families, see, they don't talk about these families that became closer. They don't talk about these families that actually started businesses, that are starting businesses, because of Corona. That's what businesses. I mean, all of this is going to sprout from pandemic. Instead of wondering why Fauci did it, spend time with affirmations to make our country strong. Oh, indeed. Indeed, Akoli. That's the whole gist of it, right? Is to what? Listen to yourself. But too many times, folks are too busy listening to other people. And we talked about, mind periods just like going to waste. When you're listening to other people, it's mind period to waste, right? You're wasting that mind time, the mind period on just nonsense. And then it'll take you down so many different rabbit holes that you don't have time to affirm anything. Or your mind just doesn't have the facility because you're going down this rabbit hole of this, that, the other, and the third, trying to be Sherlock Holmes and get to the source. And investigate the source. When at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. Corona is here. Deal with it. How are you going to deal with Corona? what are you going to do in your dealings? Make your family stronger, right? Make your family more healthier. Learn, like I was telling Hakohim, learn to do things to prevent virus. And the world has been taught that, correct me if I'm wrong, because the whole world has been taught to wash your hands. That's one of the elementary things that you can do is wash your hands. There's this story, and I need to listen to the podcast on this business that started up. I wrote the name, where did I put that? But these two guys, some of you may have their soap, but they make their soap out of sheepskin, out of sheep's milk. What's the name of it? What's the name? It's a particular brand, and they're very popular. But they started their business in the 2008 financial crisis, and they both went broke. And they had this farm with a whole bunch of sheep on it. And guess what they decided to do? They decided to make soap out of the sheep's milk. And now, they've been on, Oprah wanted them on there. They've been on QVC and all these channels, and now they soap are selling like hotcakes now. In a time of a crisis. And that's just another great example, just like our queen, and you'll see that happen again in this time as well. Is that during this time of crisis, people are going to see, and humanity is going to look at this thing and utilize facilities to make this world a better place. Not sitting here running with, trying to be the investigators of the world. No, we're the solution. Light don't investigate. It solves the problems, you see. Like luxury classes saying, like taking lemons and making lemonade. They took milk and made soap. Yes, smart. Totally smart. Totally smart. And you and I are just as smart. We're smarter. Baruch Hashem. So make the necessary adjustments, just like luxury classes. Adjust well to a bad scenario. But, if your focus is only on the doom and gloom of the scenario, am I going to get the corona? You're Israel. You're a blessing to your nation. You're a light to your nation. Okay, how's that light flickering today during corona times? What are you doing? What do heroes do? They do great things. In the time of just chaos, heroes do great things. And they give you words. I tell you, Mother, Father, give me words. They gave me an upbringing that made me into the man I am today. And then my spiritual father, Hakoyin, has taken what they've done to a whole different level, to the next life. And that, I've been meditating on that this week as well, Hakoyin, and family. Like when people, they expire, they die. Have you ever heard the phrase, they pass on to the next life? Anybody ever heard that? Put up a one if you heard it. Yeah, he's passed on to the next life. He's passed on. When they say that, get this. They're actually saying and affirming what? What are they affirming when they say that? Think about that for a minute. That he's gone and he's passed on to the next life. What is that next life? What are they actually affirming when they say that? They may not know what they're saying it ignorantly, but what are they confirming or affirming? Think about that statement. Exactly, Yael, woman of the tent. Reincarnation. Think about that for a minute. Oh, yeah, he's passed on to the next life. They're talking about heaven. He's going to come back through in another life. Do you get it? I was like, wow. All these people, they're actually affirming, reincarnationism. He's passing on to the next life. They're saying it, but they say, oh, yeah, he went to heaven. No, he didn't go to no heaven. He's passed on to another life. He's going to pass on to another life. How many of you, just for kicks and giggles, you realize that you come from a past life? Like you have some kind of things, maybe little spotty times in your history where you realize that you were another person at one time. Anybody in this room like that? Anybody like you in another life you were doing something else or whatever it was. Blah, blah, blah. You realize that. Like, oh, wow, well, that's good. That's good. That's good. I have a couple of responses. Because, again, you're going to pass on to the next life. But, so, if that's the case, so what we need to concern ourselves with is what we're doing with this life that we have right now. What are you doing with it? Have you taken this life by the horns and given great service and homage to this life that you've been given? And better what you did in the last life. Now, this life, you have opportunities, just like our Queen is instructing us to do great and greater things, and to leave a legacy of positivity, a positive legacy. I mean, helping the poor, that's positive. You know, being compassionate towards those that are that the world sees as, you know, lesser, that's leaving a great legacy. But let's see, speaking against individuals because you don't like, because they don't agree like you agree. I mean, what kind of legacy are you in today? This is what we need to concern ourselves with. And I tell you, the more you give out compassion, the more conformity will come into place. I'm going to give you a great example. I'll go ahead and mention it. And some folks have problems with, and my wife, she likes to eat shellfish. But do you know, and just like I noted, I've been noticing this. Now that she's been in America and I've given her that compassion and that leeway to continue to eat the shellfish, that she doesn't even eat it anymore. Very seldom does she want to eat shellfish. Think about that for a minute. And so when we go to the stores, she's looking, oh yeah, honey, oh yeah. And we pass right by the shellfish and she doesn't get them. But she's going to the beef and she's going to the chicken. And she loves to eat fish. My fish, by the way. So do you get it? And that's why I'm a firm believer. I've seen it in my life that if you're compassionate towards people, they'll conform to you, right? But if you go around telling people you can't do that, what happens with that? You notice the children. Little Johnny, you better not take that cookie out the cookie jar. Guess what little Johnny going to do? Do you get it? The more you force people to do things, the more they're going to do the things that you're forcing them not to do. Just because you're telling them that they can't do it. Have any of you ever experienced that study, that case study in human nature? You need to you need to definitely put it to the test. That's something that you need to test for sure. You need to test that. If you show compassion and let people just be people, you'll realize over a period of time, especially if they're close to you, that they'll conform to really what you wanted them to conform to without you having to force them down their throat. Think about that. I tell you. I have embraced compassion. I am compassionate, and I choose to be compassionate. You see? And now, this day in 2020, I have the most loyal and loving woman in the whole world. Yes, she comes from China, whose national standard is not to believe in any God. Think about that for a minute. But yet she has embraced the laws of Moses. And I didn't tell her to. I just only showed her compassion. And you look at the Master Yeshua. You look at his life. Luxury class, your hero, the Master Yeshua. Did he ever tell somebody that they cannot do something? He asked them what they wanted. What do you desire? He never asked, well, you don't do this and don't do that, and you're going to hell for this. The Master never said that. The whole time he walked to this earth. Yo, you're going to hell. Nope. He just a standard. This is why I see why Luxury Class picked him as his hero, because he set the standard by his action. And he left a precedent. Like I told you, he's leaving great precedent. I'm telling you. Precedent that will live far beyond. And go on into generations and generations. And generations. Precedent is set. Now, whether you aspire or desire to follow that precedent, that's on you. That comes in the realm of choice, which is for another day. So we're in exile for abandonment. So how do we reverse that? By beginning to accept precedent. Another A word, abandonment. Now we need to begin to accept or embrace what our forefathers abandoned, which is what? The laws of Moses. Hakohim Silo, Musa. Begin to embrace the laws of Moses. How do I do that? Do I just hug them? Oh, I just need to hug the Bible. Rabbi Kefa said if I just hug the Bible, I'm embracing love. No. You need to begin to apply. Another A word, you need to begin to apply. Exactly what Moses said to do. Well, I don't know how to do that. How do you apply? How do I interpret that? That's to the Kohen for interpretation. The sons of Aaron. To get interpretation for 2020. Because interpretation for 2020 is not those long queues that Moses had to deal with in the desert. This is totally different interpretation now with planes, trains, automobiles, and driverless cars and drones. Right? So in that new normal, I want you all family to be normal. Be your normal in their new normal. And in being in your normal, continue to create and innovate for these countries that you're in. Don't run into fear that we talked about last Shabbat. Don't run into that fear. That's going to paralyze you and prevent you from being the creator that you are. To create and affirm for yourself whatever you want, whatever you desire for yourself. Testing, and more testing. And we'll continue to test. How many of you know our pattern and our history is all about testing? Our forefathers, the Hebrews, were put through a lot of tests. Some they failed, yes. Some they crashed and burned, yes, we get that. But this is why we have compassion. Because we have the DNA of El Shaddai, and he has compassion. Why can we be compassionate towards one another? And compassion showed, and it was the byproduct of the greatness of our forefathers. Right? Yeah, we got it wrong a lot, but what did compassion do? Compassion for the greatness of our people, of our family. We're a great family, Mishpahah. And I don't say that to be braggadocious, but I say that in all humility. We are a great family. We are a great family, and we will continue to be great. Now, whether you want to be a part of that greatness or not, that's you. That's all a choice. It's your choice to be great, or it's your choice not to be great. Consider that going forward. Keep yourself in the neutral zone so you're not swayed left or right. Because it's easy here in North America to get swayed, to become a Democrat or become a Republican, left or right. No, you stay neutral. You stay neutral, and you pray for our leaders, and you pray for those that have been put in positions of authority, and you do great things for our nation. Now, in closing, I want to touch on a few things in regards to relationships, which I think are very, very important. And you can take these relationships and base them on many different levels. But for whatever relationship style that you're in right now, Mishpahah, I would encourage you to all to test the relationship. Test it, and more testing. And when that testing is done, continue to test it. That's going to be important. Because all of you probably in this room have come out of bad relations, one way or another. And you don't want to add another one to your list, so you must test. Now, we talked about the importance of having an incubation period, or what we would call a period of courting. Now, when we court, what happens during the courting period or the courting phase? Anybody tell me? What happens during that time? Is that courting just a word? How do you take the word courting and apply it into an action? What happens during courting? Anybody tell me? When you court, what happens? When courting takes place, what goes on? Anybody? You say, okay, we're courting, baby, and we're going to court, and we're going to court. What actions take place during courting? Well, if you don't know, communication is one. Yeah, getting to know each other, that's another one. But you begin to test them. You observe, Adelia said, get to know. How you get to know one another? You test them. You put them in a situation, and you see how they're going to respond. This way, you'll find out if you have a zero or if you have a hero. It's real quick. It's real easy. But it may require some time. Because, yeah, some tests, just like our family, all the tests we failed. But we prevailed, right? We may have failed a lot of tests, but we prevailed. Why? It's because we had compassion. Just because they failed one test, you don't kick them to the curb. Well, you continue to test, and you say, well, okay, look in this area, but that's okay. Let's see where we're going to go next. This is why it takes a period. I say a year, just to make sure, Ms. Behar. I say a year. Because who wants to run up on another bad situation that leads to the courts? Nobody wants to go to the courts. But the courts. You see, because for me, it's this. And another thing you don't want to do is you just don't want to that all's going to go well. Well, let me just cross my fingers. Cross both of my fingers, then everything's going to be fine, and we'll have a loving relationship, and we'll live forever, and blah, blah, blah. No. You want to test and you want to confirm. Just like you do in your affirmation. Just like you do in your listing. Just like you do in your affirmation. You want to keep affirming, and you want to keep testing, and you want to see, well, how can I improve on this and even get better? It's not a cross your fingers type situation and hope all goes well. Because number one, I'm not a believer in hope to begin with. I'm not a hope person. You see, society has it like this when it comes to relationships. They say love and marriage. But I don't agree with that. You know what I say? I say marriage and love. You see, society will tell you, oh, love and marriage. Love and marriage. Love comes first, then the marriage. No, I totally don't agree with that. That's the wrong premise. First there's the marriage, and then love will come later. So what does the marriage need to be based upon? The marriage needs to be based upon testing, so you know what you get in, just like James, to know one another. The love comes much later, Mr. Palmer. I'm going to let you know that. In the beginning, there's no love. You know what you have in the beginning of a relationship? You have lust. That's what you have. That's all that is. That's just lust. And there's nothing wrong with a healthy dose of lust. Just make sure the woman or the man make sure the woman's not married. And then there's nothing wrong with it, okay? Just to clarify. But there's nothing wrong with lusting. But Christianity will tell you, how many come out of Christianity? That entity will tell you, oh, brother, you're lusting, you're sinning, you're a sinner. Sinner, chicken dinner, because you're lusting. There's nothing wrong with lusting. There's nothing wrong with lust. I tell you, I love a woman with a beautiful face, like a smooth face. I guess that's why my desire pointed me right to China. You know, Chinese face is just like impeccable. It's perfect. Their skin, I'm telling you, it's like perfect. To me, that's just me personally. So yes, I lusted after Chinese women for sure. That's my lust meter. So in the beginning, yeah, we just lust. And then we married, and then the love came much later. Then love came much, much later. And it's still coming. Many different levels. Over Hashem. But in the beginning, there is no love. So don't run around here saying you love one another, because that's just not true. Love hadn't, again, the Master talked about, sowing and reaping. You have to sow love to reap some love. How many of you understand that? And I know I'm Monday morning quarterbacking it, but if you look back on your experiences, you'll say, well, yeah, that was the downfall for my relationships in the past. Is I went in with the love factor, and love let me down. And just like I hear all the time in conversations, oh, Rabbi, my heart is broken. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Love let you down. And love will do that. You see, because you got to sow love to reap it. And sometimes, when you sow love, it takes, it takes a long time for that seed to germinate. Long time. But in time, guess what you have? You have a marriage. The two become one. Our books didn't tell us anything about no love in the beginning. Adam had wives, right? We understand that. Anywhere in the beginnings did Adam say, hey, baby, I love you? No, Adam said, whoa, man. That's what he said. And whoa, man, to me, sounds like lust, right? When Adam saw this creation that came from his ribs, guess what he said? Whoa, man. What does that sound like to you? Love or lust? That sounds like lust to me. How many of you are in the lust camp with me? I'm telling you, that sounds just like lust to me. He said, oh, whoa, man. He said, I'm going to name you Whoa, man. Why? Because the woman looked good. Adam was pleased. Baruch Hashem. It's like all men want to be pleased. So again, lust in the beginning, but love comes later. So don't go into a relationship looking for love, because love and marriage doesn't work. How about marriage then love? Look for a man or woman that you want to marry. Well, how do I find that out? The testing part. You don't know how to test. You get the Patriarchal Marriage book is a good book. It's a good book for that. It really help you out. Cohen did a book on patriarchal marriage. It's a really, really good book. Marriages of our patriarchs and how they married. Well, what you need to steer clear of. He give you some of the steer clear signs. He give you some of the testing modules as well. If you need further testing modules, get with the rabbis. We can help you with some testings that can go on. But you must test, and retest to certify. You want to be certified. You buy a pre-owned car, Rabbi Zachariah will tell you that a pre-owned car, they have been certified. They get that certified stamped on. That means they've been tested. Everything's been tested out. That this vehicle is going to do this, and this. It's not going to break down on you. Opposed to going to just a used car dealership and taking something off there and then crossing your fingers and saying, man, I sure hope the transmission don't go out on this baby. I sure hope I don't blow the engine. I just circulated this money into this car. You see the difference? See the difference? But when you go to the new car dealership, you even still want to take the car and test drive it, don't you? So again, these are things we have to consider going forward. We all need to consider. And there's a lot of experience in this room. I guarantee you. There's a lot of experience when it comes to relationships. That can give you guidance and direction and really helps you. Because at the end of the day, my desire is that no one goes to the D course. No one goes to the divorce course, Mr. Behar. There's no need for it. Just like the Torah says, as long as you can have communication, and a woman, you want to marry somebody. You don't want to love somebody. You want somebody that you can marry. Don't run for love. How many women in this room have failed for the love factor? Put up a capital L. If you fail for the love factor and it let you down. Any women in this room that have, I need to just speak to the women for a minute. You fail for the love factor and love let you down. It just let you down, crack, turn, and blah, blah, blah. Sit down for your responses, women in the room. Because it's very important that we put faces to the name and claim it. Because this is what happens. I'm not speaking somewhere in some other planet of the universe. This happens in real life. And to die for y'all telling me this. Because of that, it just affirms that, okay, yeah, my goodness. Cupid shoot you with that arrow does not make everything lovey-dovey and, 50-year anniversary. Matter of fact, we shoot you with that arrow will bring you to what? 3 months in that divorce court. See, that's not what it's about. So you want to marry someone. I'm telling you, relationship, that once you marry, boy, that opens up, I tell you. The whole world seems to open up to you. Opposed to being single and wants to mingle, no, you need to marry. And then creationism begins to open up on a whole different level. Well, you're saying, Rabbi, you can't create as a single person? I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's a lot easier when you follow the universal principles. And from the very beginning in our history, it's been about relationship, right? When we look at Adam, it was about a relationship. Our books tell us that it's not good that man is alone. Not good, is it? And to this day, 2020, it's not good that man is alone. And if it's not good for man to be alone, then it's surely not good for woman to be alone, correct? Well, it doesn't say that, Rabbi, so that means the Bible is insinuating that a woman can be alone. No, don't get it twisted. Do not get it twisted. That's not what it is. If a man can't be alone, then guess what? A woman can't be alone as well. So let's start from the beginning. Now, if we look at things from the beginning and follow the same pattern and don't try to skip, then everything else will fall in line, you know. We get into disarray, and then we get into and all these other negative words, negative energies. So let's consider that going forward. Let's consider that going forward. And on that note, I'm going to wrap it up for this Shabbat and tell you all is to, you know, follow your heroes and leave the zeros, because heroes is where it's at. And all of you, in my opinion, family, I desire all of you to be heroes, because I know I want someone to look up to you and see you as a hero, because you're Israel. You're supposed to look to the light, right? So you all are heroes, in my opinion. You all are heroes. See yourself as the hero. Keep your heroes close to you. Eat your heroes that you have. And be the hero that you are. Because all of you are heroes. And in this time, this age that we're in right now, what does the world need more than anything? They need heroes, right? But it's sad to say is that everybody's waiting on the Savior, their Savior Jesus, to show up and be the hero that's going to fix everything. And they don't realize that the hero's in them to fix. To fix everything is already inside of them. They carry Jesus with them, but they don't understand that. It's because they're looking for Jesus side of them. I've done that. They're searching for Jesus. Some people here in Texas, I mean, they finding Jesus in a pot. Oh, they finding Jesus in all kind of things, man. In a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Oh, I saw his face in a peanut. Oh, I saw Jesus. No, Jesus is within you. Not in a taco. Not in a tortilla. Jesus is within you. Now go out and create. Because the Master said, you know, even greater things that you're going to do than I do. Well, where are those greater things at? Where is that? you know what I mean? See, they embrace Jesus, but they don't embrace Jesus. You know what I mean? And that's sad, because they sell themselves short. And that's the sad part. They embrace Jesus, but then they don't embrace him. You know what I mean? So that's what we deal with as we study human nature. But we must continue to be the heroes in our societies, in our states, in our countries, and shine during this time. Not hide in somebody's closet, but shine. Go out and do the necessary. And let somebody call you a hero. Yeah, it'll feel good. Give you a feel-good moment. It'll affirm that you are Israel, because you all are heroes. So do great things for your nation and your country. More importantly, do great things for your family. On that note, we're going to wrap it up. Continue to do your testing. If you have any questions, please get a hold with our Kohen, any of the rabbis. We're here to help. We're here to be helpers, servants of Israel, Baruch Hashem. So let's do that. I'm getting ready to go change some diapers and play with my son Nakshan and enjoy my family that I'm so happy and so humbled to be a hero for. Because I look at Nakshan, I know he sees me as just the next thing next to it's a chocolate with Hashem. I give thanks and Todah Rabbi to you, Akoin, and everything you've done in my life, and continue to do, my brother from the same mother. And we're going to keep it moving forward. Regardless if it's just me and Hakoin and Rabbi Zakaria, it's going to still keep moving. Wanted to move with all the family, but again, that's a choice. It's a choice you all have to make in this life. Before you move on to the next life, what are you going to do with this life? Here's the opportunity for you to write it. Just like Akoi said, write your life, write it, and be it, and it will be. And it will be. Baruch Hashem. Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom. Have a great 6 days of labor ahead. Over to you, Akoi, and we'll wrap it up. Any questions, we'll take them.
Todah for that, Rabbi Kefa. I just want to add to that explanation that people will start to take the wording wrong and start to, backbite, slander, or tailbear against Rabbi Kefa, against the word lust. One of the ways this word is used in the New Testament by Paul in the chapter of Romans, the word lust, orexis in the Greek, it basically means to long for something or to desire something. So it is rightly said that you can lust after food. Like I want to have my meal, my midday meal, and of course I'm lusting after it. Technically, if you think about it, not just me, all of you are who haven't had a meal yet, but I want to have that nice meal, my Shabbat meal, and it'll be really great. So technically we're all lusting after it. So don't take it the wrong way, but the word is actually correct that you are allowed to lust after things. Although unfortunately I have to just point out that Christianity hasn't really done any favors to anybody, and has just totally taken the words wrong and misapplied and created doctrines and theologies out of it to bash people on the head, and just to put them under subjugation. So beware. That's what religion does. But the word can be used in many ways appropriately in the right context, because you might lust after your new car. I mean, is that wrong? Is that a sin? No, it's not. Not wrong. Perfectly fine. You lust after food. You come back from your office, you want to have some food. That's a lust as well, by the way. Is that wrong? No, not at all. It all depends on context. Now, having said that, I wanted to point out back to Bereshit bara Elohim. Bereshit bara Elohim rightly can be applied to every one of you, because Elohim can also mean and apply to man. Because Elohim, remember what Jesus of Nazareth said? Ye are gods, and it's taken from the Psalms. So what's the word for God? Elohim. So learn from our Torah that Elohim can be applied to human beings under that context, because you can also be creators too. So go create good things in your life, create good things for your family, and create a marvelous life for yourself. So with that, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Shalom to you.